Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome back to a very somber episode of the Texas Two-Step.
Bang, bang.
Where neither of us are wearing our school colors.
Should be in black.
There was a 2-day mourning period, as I think both of our programs saw the exact worst case scenario. Close games, winnable games, both lost. What our dream would have been, that's necessarily gone. Obviously, the same could be said for Texas, but I suppose the percentages dramatically drop.
Winnable game.
It felt a little Halloweenish. You know, Halloween weekend where it's like there's just always random games. Like looking across the scoreboard, it wasn't just a litany, but there was a multitude of things that you're like, really? Okay.
Yeah.
If LSU had lost to Missouri, I would have been like, goodness sakes. But I don't know.
Weird things across the country.
Notre Dame losing to Louisville was ridiculous, and not even a loss, but a 2-4 loss. Georgia Tech beating Miami and the way that they beat them. Like, what was happening with coaches? That was my issue with Jimbo. I mean, I know you're going to want to talk about it. It was like just a blunder of coaching.
I don't want to. No, I'm not going to harp on Jimbo that much today.
All right, yeah, right. I mean,
everyone else is already doing it.
Yeah.
No,
USC triple overtime. USC triple overtime to Arizona. I mean,
yep.
Colorado barely beating Arizona State. Maybe that's okay. I don't know. Just like.
Well, even look way down. You have 0-5 UConn going to Rice and win and beating them. Like,
yeah, it's not on radar, but
it just so many weird things happened. It just, I don't want to say it's like that weird, that happens every year kind of week, but. Clemson has played really well the last couple of weeks, winning by 5. Yeah, I wouldn't say weird, odd things, certainly. And I don't even really know where to start. Where do you start the day? We both have our grind our gears and our stuff.
Even if it's like, okay, and then all of a sudden Georgia shows up, and then all of a sudden Michigan just blows out Minnesota. Instead of like these, 30-point 2-score games, Fresno State was ranked. They lost to Wyoming.
Mm-hmm.
Oregon State won. Washington State goes to UCLA and loses. And again, it wasn't that close. I think it was 1-score game. But it was.
Yeah, it was 1 score.
Bottom. Well, your team was on first. I don't know.
Okay, I'll go with mine.
You played bad. Oklahoma's better than we thought.
I think 2 things can be true here. I think Oklahoma can definitely be better than what everyone thought. I also think, though, that Texas is still the better team. And I know that may be sour grapes. I know that may be, just, you're more of a fan or you're biased, whatever. But when I go back and talk to a few guys about this and kind of just done some more reflecting, you spotted them 7 points to start the game. You then drove down the field and threw another interception in the red zone. You had 9 penalties. You had 3 turnovers. You lost your starting center in the game. You had your main playmaker, your tight end, who was not coming to the game injured. You lost your starting free safety in the middle of the game. Your number 1 starting cornerback didn't play in this game. I'm not sitting here saying that injuries don't happen. You got to deal with them. But when you look at the game, here's how I viewed it. I viewed it in kind of 2 prisms. One, that loss last year, 49-0, I think stung so many of those players, stung that fan base, that coaching staff so hard. They came in, I want to say, wanting it more. It seemed like they wanted it a little more. You saw a lot of like hidden little yards that were kind of picked up. Maybe, they were getting tackled, but they still were like, I'm still going to try to get this 1 or 2 extra yards, which could prove a difference, on a short third down versus a medium third down. The players looked a little nastier than ours did. So while I'm still going to sit here and say I think Texas was the better, Texas almost went in the game, in my opinion, expecting to win. Not that they didn't play hard, they just, I don't think, played with the sort of edge Oklahoma did. Oklahoma came that game and wanted to win. They wanted it. I think that was pretty evident. The second thing is
almost the same way
Oklahoma,
that Texas really wanted to do what they did last year.
what do you mean?
Redemption from 2 years before that, blowing the 1-point lead. Like Texas wanted to prove. I mean, they certainly did. They proved a point.
They did. Rivalry game. And again, I don't think the Texas players didn't want it. It just, there seemed like there was just a little bit more edge to the Oklahoma players. But that being said, I think you look in this game, I think you could make an argument despite that little edge. Oklahoma played a A-plus game. They played a almost perfect game. Texas probably played B minus, maybe C plus game, and they still were up by 3 with a minute left to go. So while I'm going to sit here and say that they definitely deserve to win, Oklahoma was the better team that day. Like they went down, like they had a chance to take the length of the field. They went down, earned it, and scored a touchdown. So kudos to them. But I still think if Texas even plays a B plus game, this game isn't close. You had 3 turnovers. You were 5 inches short on 4th down and goal to get that touchdown, which you gave. So a lot of weird things happened this game. We talked about that, from turnovers to a blocked punt to just weird things happen this game. So again, like I'm sitting here disappointed, but we both knew. I think everyone really knew, like, Texas beating Alabama gave them a mulligan this season. Like, it gave them a chance to slip up, and that's what they did. Now they still got on the table. They still got to make it to the Big 12 title game and win. But I think you do that, you're still in the playoff. So I don't think even a loss here, matters in the grand scheme of things if you win out. So it hurts. You never want to lose that game. You never want to lose that game as a Texas fan. But I'm not sitting here just still like our season's over kind of deal. I will say this though. A friend sent me this. 9 penalties against Texas. I think that's a tops for the year so far. So a friend sent me this, and basically what it was defensive pass interference penalties and offensive holding penalties against Texas opponents this year. Oklahoma had 0 pass interferences, 0 holds. Are you telling me in a game where referees say that they can call a hold almost any time they want, Oklahoma had 0 holds in this game? There's something, I'm not saying conspiracy theory, but you look at the officiated games in this season so far for Texas, and I'll send you that, and I'll send you the picture. The disparity is quite alarming. So anyway, I'm not happy, but they were down by double digits in the third quarter. They came back to take the lead. They just gave Oklahoma had the ball last. And that's what you can say. I'm not going to put this on Sark like a lot of people have with his play calling. I think he actually did call a pretty good game. I think Oklahoma had a good game plan against our defense. But looking forward, went out. I don't think anyone's going to remember this game. So
Now you can't
That's
have
my deal.
OU win out. You can't have OU win out.
I don't think OU wins out. I don't. They played. I think even if OU wins out, Texas winning in the conference PAL game still puts them in. Oklahoma still may get in too, but I think Texas still win in. So I think Oklahoma absolutely because
That'd be tough. I mean, to have two Big 12
Big 12
teams
teams.
in the Big 12 conference this year, yeah, you're the best teams in the conference, but it's not close.
You know, Oklahoma's. I mean, Oklahoma played a borderline perfect game. Texas dropped an interception that they should have had that could have made a difference. Texas
But
played a mediocre game, and they still were ahead to win with a minute left.
this is actually fascinating if you think about it, because Texas and OU have never played each other in a conference game, but you can now.
What? No, they in 2019 they played. Texas beat Oklahoma in Red River, and they met in the conference title game. And OU won. It was Kyler. That was a Kyler Murray year.
I remember that because I knew not long ago the Big 12 did not have a title game. I didn't remember when they started, but it's not North and South anymore.
Nope, top two teams.
Yep. Interesting, very interesting. Well, we've seen that kind of drama play out in the SEC, whether it's Alabama or LSU. Actually, that was for a national championship, or Alabama, Georgia. So, could be pretty cool to see. I mean,
I think ultimately,
if taken out like that,
yeah, and I think ultimately, very similar to how Kirby Smart, when they lost to, then he got pistol whipped by Bama in the SEC title game a couple years ago, came back, met him in the championship game, and it was almost like a galvanizing kind of refocus. And I think that could be very similar to how Texas views it if they play it right. That this could use as a motivation. Maybe they were reading their press clippings too much. Who knows? But this is definitely a reality check. Play it right, we'll be fine.
Gotcha.
Yep. So,
well, I mean, I had some similar sentiments in regard to what happened at College Station. I think if you were to analyze the talent in regards to who should have had the impact on the game, had the better talent, but for whatever reason, we allowed Milroe to have a good game, to throw for 300 yards, to just complete the big plays. I mean, I think they probably had at least two touchdowns of 40 yards. I know their first one is 50, and there just wasn't a correction to that. And they had negative 11 rushing yards into that. Alabama, that's a crazy statistic for a team, but I don't think there was defensive adjustments by A&M, and I think they had misses such as they shouldn't have gone for it on, like the very first drive. It's like, I get the idea that they want to push the gas pedal down, but you have an easy field goal, and they went for miss, and they had a couple mishaps like that, but they had every opportunity to win because Alabama was heavily penalized that game. I would just say it was poor play calling. Yeah, I think Max plays a subpar game compared to Connor Wegman, and you are talking about a one-score game, so that would have made a difference. Maybe it's the turnover, but we also -1 turnovers. 108,000 plus people in that stadium. The majority of their penalties were false starts, which was great, but it was the blown coverages. It was the missed opportunities on offense.
Alabama, I didn't realize Alabama had 14 penalties.
It was crazy. Yeah,
good gosh.
I don't know how many were false starts, but it was consistent. Yeah, but A&M pulled the same kind of stuff, or throwing a pass right at a referee. Now the referee probably shouldn't have been there, but
saw that.
It's like it's just like things you just don't do, and that was really just the unfortunate thing. I think if you, I don't know who played to give it like the ABC grade thing like you did. I don't know who played the better game, but I do think if the game played again, it could have a different result. Maybe it would just be a 50-50 ball every single time. But that's frustrating thing is like you look at it and go, crap, that was winnable. And it wasn't like a luck thing. It wasn't like 2 years ago with I'm forgetting his name all of a sudden. Backup QB that took over right after or we did win.
No, Pizza Boy, Calzone, or Calzada, or Pizza Boy.
Calzada, that's it. Like he just played an incredible game, and it was like one of those like lucky things where everything just kind of goes your way, and then you end up with a ball out and kick the game-winning field goal. This wasn't that game. This was the game that was winnable, and they just didn't win. And you could probably talk to a lot of analysts, and they're going to look at the talent level, and they're going to look at the play calls, and they're going to look at the coaching staff and the adjustments and go, well, that was Nick Saban. He's the better coach. And that's what sucks. That is what sucks, because that is what A&M is attempting for, is to have the better coach.
Yeah, looking at it, of course, I was going through my own little kind of post-game issue. So I was watching the game sparingly, but I kept thinking to myself, like, it seems like A&M's dominating. Like, it seems like they're winning. And again, being up 17-10 at half. But then what's crazy, again, how does A&M only score 3 points in the second half?
That's exactly right.
What adjustments?
At half.
Yeah.
There wasn't any. 17-10 at half, and you're like, you have the opportunity to go up 14. Or actually the drive to finish the second half could have gone up 14, and then just like really kind of fizzled out. And I mean that's kind of what you were left with, was like, really, you're at home and all of a sudden Alabama's this incredible defense. It wasn't.
Well, neither team could run the ball. I mean, obviously, you only had 23 yards rushing for Bama, 67 for A&M. So it kind of played out the way I think we all thought it did. To me, Max Johnson versus Connor Wegman.
Mm-hmm.
Max 15 for 25, 239 yards, TD, a pick.
Yeah,
like that's probably the difference.
A couple errant throws, couple sacks, couple slow decision making. When we were talking about the other week, and you were talking about, well, how does a quarterback start? What's starting and blah blah blah. When you're new to a system and you are learning, you're going to think slower. So Haynes, for example, should have been faster in progressions. I think Connor just that faster thinking quarterback, and that's really what separates. Like, I don't know if you had to have watched the Cowboys game last night, but
I turned it off
2 nights ago. 2 nights ago, right? Yeah, it was 2 nights ago. But it's like Purdy, who is Mr. Irrelevant. He is at this point such a fast decision maker as far as a quarterback goes, that even though he's slightly smaller, he makes incredible decisions very fast. And that's what makes a big difference. I think Max Johnson sits in the pocket and he's just slow. He misses receiver, and he doesn't necessarily throw people open.
It's kind of a ambiguous question, but how much of the play calling that was built around Connor for the first 4 games of the season, like almost like they maybe didn't try to change it to get Max more comfortable or get him into situations that he favored more. Like he was still calling it for me for Wegman and his strengths are.
I don't know that. Like, it doesn't seem like our offense is just super complex. Maybe the O-line schemes are too complex, because there's definitely been some very questionable O-line play ever since last year, and it still was kind of like showing in regards to the depletion of the run game. Like, I think those out of 67 yards, the majority of those were in the first half. The second half was just consistent 3 and out or very slow movement. I mean, I'm trying to think. I think we did miss a long field goal as well, which then it's like, well, you play 6. I think we missed a field goal, and we also didn't take a field goal in the very first drive. Those are kind of like that's what this game is like.
Yeah, I mean, when you get, but ultimately when it comes down to it, when you only score 3 points in the second half, that just boils down to your coaching staff just couldn't make the adjustments more than likely it needed to make.
Yep. And it did not. And there really wasn't a reason. I mean, some receivers dropped balls. Moose Muhammad had what should have been a really big play, just dropped wide open. I mean, that kind of weird stuff. But no, it's just that's how I was like, it's frustrating. I'd like to play that game again because I wouldn't be afraid of it. I think Alabama's probably feeling like wow, I think the odds just kind of tipped in our favor today, and we escaped because we had 14 penalties. Jim Mill throws for 300 yards. We have 3 bomb TDs. Like,
did they escape? Because remember,
are they better?
They did block that kick to take it back to the house.
That's true. Yeah,
got called back on one of the weakest
blindside blocks
penalty I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I heard one of the Casey Smith on Barstool say, what'd you say? Like, she goes, after that play, and then we blow that. It's like this should be a microcosm that A&M is just not allowed to have nice things.
Yeah, no, that's kind of how it feels. It's like it's right there. Just take it. You packed the house, 108,000 people. What is the record for college football? In a non-pro stadium.
It's up. I think it's up like 113. I think the big house has got. I think they've got like 114,000 people before. Yeah.
I mean, all they is I know Penn State's big.
I think Texas has got 110 before, but maybe I don't know.
Anyway,
I'll Google it.
That's a ton of people in there, and it was there. It was there for the taking. Could have owned the West. LSU seems very beatable in regards to Missouri putting points on them. Like it's like, all right, the defense should be better and play good defense, score on LSU, and they're in the West. That's just how it felt. And now it's like, well, Alabama now has to lose, and you have to win out.
Yeah.
To win the West. Could still happen, but it's one of those like the statistics have significantly dropped.
Well, and how much do those players have in the tank going to Knoxville this week?
And
then all of a sudden,
I prefer to have to buy. Well, I don't think we took on a bunch of injuries, so they're either going to be feeling like they need a redemption game because they should have had that, and they know they need to go play not the B game, the A game, and they do it, or they depleted a bunch of energy and this a downward spiral. And I'll say the talent on the team, they shouldn't all be burned out after week 5, week 6. If they can't get it together, then we have a coaching issue.
I feel more majority of the time though it swings that way. It's that these are college kids, they're emotional. It's hard to get up for 2 quality opponents. I think we saw it with I think Notre Dame was a perfect example. I think I said it on the podcast last week, is that you spilled your guts against Ohio State at home. You had a really tough game against a good Duke team away, and now you're going to a Louisville team that, talent-wise you're better at, but they've had a target on you for a couple weeks now. They've been prepping for you. They're ready. You're going to get their best shot. Hard to college kids to get up for that week in and week out in those kind of environments.
So Tennessee last week
was on a bye. I was just looking at that.
Off. Yeah.
Yeah. So they've been
They're going to be prepped too. They've watched that game. They hate Alabama, so they're very dialed in on that. We have beat them the last 2 times, I believe, including the trip to Knoxville. So they'd like. I don't think Tennessee has beat them in the SEC. So no doubt.
Trying to
And
think.
if A&M secondary is giving up the big bomb plays, then we've got a little bit of a problem.
You've got a problem, and maybe they and South Carolina was a game 2 weeks ago that Tennessee was like, "Ooh, Tennessee, watch out!" And they 21 them. So yeah, I mean, this. I was looking at the line. The lines and Tennessee 3.5. I mean, essentially, you're saying that those teams are equal, and that you're only giving Tennessee for the home field advantage.
Yep.
Wow, man.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I'd say it's a little worrisome.
Not a good
It's not the
weekend for the
game
state
that
of
I
Texas
want.
football.
No,
Not
it's not. Yeah, it's
not
not
a
the game I want
good
right now.
weekend.
After that game, I really kind of lost interest in football for the rest of the day. I did not just sit at the TV watching everything else that happened. I followed some scores. I went looking for enjoyment elsewhere, which was really the weather. And that's what I did. I just went outside.
Yeah, we had some birthday dinners that we attended, so it was a good getting the mind off for sure after those games because just again like I don't know like again I think Texas is still a better team than Oklahoma. I think they will show that in a couple weeks. Oklahoma played better though. That's what I will give them. I again I is Alabama a better team than A&M? I think they are, but I don't necessarily think they played. Like I think A&M still played um was the better team like on the day. Does that make any sense? Like
It
it was
was
just kind of
available.
weird.
Yeah, and a lot
Yeah,
of it had to do with 14 penalties. That's what I mean. Is like everything was there except for really the execution. And the maybe it was maybe it was the halftime adjustments, maybe it was some mishaps here and there, maybe it's a missed field goal and then not field goal. Talk about the over under though. It was 1 point over. 46 on a 45.
oh, I see. I got it at 46, so I pushed.
Oh no, really?
Yeah, I
I was say
pushed.
I think maybe the point dropped.
It did. It did. I hit that. I
At
hit that
the
a little
end.
earlier in the week, but it definitely dropped. Hit the over on Texas OU, so that was nice. But no, and that the other thing that wasn't necessarily good sports betting weekend either.
Mm.
But yeah, just a weekend I'd like to forget. And again, but as a college football fan, like especially the Red River game, like what a phenomenal game.
Hmm.
And so many emotions, so many ups and downs. It just watching it and really for like the A&M, and I thought kind of both games were this way. That I mean, all four teams. It seemed like all four teams were just hitting. Like it was just, we don't like you, so we're gonna hit you.
Hmm.
Like, we're just hitting you. And
Yeah,
as the primal man in me, I was like, kind of like that.
right.
Got the juices
No,
flowing.
it was an energy driven game.
Yeah,
Um, I think Alabama walked off that field like celebrating, not like oh
sure,
good, we did what we were supposed to do. Like
sure.
that.
But I also think Alabama maybe, yeah. I mean that may Alabama, like I said, we said after the Ole Miss game, I think Alabama may have found something.
Maybe. Yeah,
Alabama
I
may have found
mean,
something.
I know they got Arkansas this week in Tuscaloosa. Arkansas now is three straight losses. So losing, I think, by 7 to Ole Miss. I don't know where they played that game. They That's a locker room in turmoil because this is
Yeah,
3 years in a row with Sam Pittman where it was supposed to be redemption and he's the guy, And now these players are probably like, this is what I came here for. This is more of the same. We are at bottom of the barrel. We just can't do anything. They're going to be looking in the mirror, not seeing a lot of hope. I know they don't. Not a lot of love lost for Alabama, but I don't think Arkansas likes anybody because everybody just kicks him around. So,
yeah, I mean,
I don't
well,
feel the line's huge. It's like 31.5.
I heard someone talk about it with, and I guess we can kind of transition, about the Miami game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that happens. As a player, you have to lose some kind of trust, some kind of confidence in your coach and coaching staff. You have to. There's just you can't lose like that and not have that happen. I think the same can be said of Arkansas. Like you're in a position now with that team and that coaching staff, like you're almost maybe playing for yourself at this point, because I don't know how he survives the season. I really don't, because you got to think next weekend's an L, and I don't know who else they have left on their schedule, but you're 2-4, you're staring 2-5 in the face, 0-4. Like you're very looking at another potentially 3-7 season.
I don't know. Yeah, I
Or
mean, that
3-9
actually
season.
was on the road. They were in Oxford. There's no such thing as moral victories, but I don't know if anybody feels like, well, we went to Oxford and only lost by 7.
Well, that would be 38-31, 34-31, 34-22, 27-20. That's a lot of moral victories.
No doubt. But it was in Baton Rouge, and then it was neutral game, even if they were the home team. And they're away, and then they're away again. I mean, Arkansas has been not home a lot.
You're at Bama next week, Mississippi State at home, then you go to Gainesville, Auburn home, FIU home, and then Missouri home, which Missouri looks a lot better than what people thought too. So, man, I don't think I think at best case they're looking at 4-8, because I just don't think they're a good team.
No, they're probably thinking, all right, well, let's just beat Mississippi State and not be the worst in the
not be the bottom.
Yeah.
Any other games? Any other games kind of this weekend?
None that I just paid a ton of attention to. The score of and the ending, which has been replayed over and over with Georgia Tech and Miami, and obviously I needed that to be that result for a number of reasons. I didn't need Hayden's King going to like the worst FBS school and somehow winning games, almost beating Louisville, now beating the team that beat us badly. And it's like, goodness, are you kidding me? Because here we are without a quarterback. Not without a quarterback, but you know what I mean? And
very poetic justice. Very poetic justice.
Mario Cristobal, who does run the ball instead of kneeling it? They wanted points? Was Miami? Is that what they were doing? Is like,
no, they didn't need points. I mean, I was trying to look at it from all angles. Like, okay, like why would you run the ball there? I can't find it. I can't find any rational explanation to run the ball there. And I've heard that he has this mentality of we'll never take a knee. We always play the same way for 60 minutes. We'll never just kneel it. But like, bro.
My vanity is more important than statistics and
exactly
play.
Exactly. My culture is more important than winning.
Anyway, I understand the let's always go for 2 and don't punt statistics side of thing. Obviously, that didn't play out at a higher level.
Right.
But not kneeling is not statistics. That's stupidity.
I believe it was like 3rd down and like 33 seconds left to go. I don't think Georgia Tech had timeouts.
If that's really his mentality, it's like start trying to kick 80-yard field goals in. Be like, no, we don't punt. Look, if we miss it because our leg's not strong enough, we're still going to get and work out harder. And like, it doesn't make sense. You kneel the ball.
I can't. Like I said, I watched it several times. The ending. I can't find any rational explanation in my mind, and maybe it's just because I'm not coach and he is. I don't know, Maybe you know something I don't know, or crystal ball.
No, I saw the
But
press conference where he's like,
but
"Yeah, that's on me. Bad move."
and like, how are you doing as an assistant offensive coordinator? Like, no one around him is willing to challenge and be like, "Hey, bro, like, if we just take a knee, we can win."
Or
Or like, like
play a prevent defense. They were like running man.
they were. That was there. Yeah. And he throws them.
And he threw him open. He slipped past two receivers, and he was wide open on the fade route. I mean,
He got behind the secondary. Yeah.
stupid.
Man.
It's like
I mean, in some sick way.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
man, it was
not good. I mean, Georgia Tech is well, they're not undefeated because they lost to Louisville.
no.
But
I mean, Georgia Tech, I wouldn't say is terrible, but they're not great. I mean, like
they're not the laughing stock of football or a conference.
Man, I just there's just no explanation for that, and I wonder, like, they become to me, especially the next game. I haven't looked and see who they're playing. Like how do they react to this, knowing they potentially yeah.
No, Miami hasn't played anybody yet. I think you told me
they played you. They played you.
Played A&M, but not anyone in the conference. They were giving away seats to this game.
Yeah.
Right? If you bought a ticket to A&M, you got the equal ticket to the Georgia Tech game.
They are at North Carolina this week, prime time.
I think Clemson coming to them.
The week after.
How they only dropped to 25 though. I mean, I get it. That's an 8-point drop. That's still pretty big. But you lost to Georgia Tech at home.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I think you could make an argument. They probably still shouldn't have dropped at all because, like, if you just do something that's so common sense, like you win the game. So, like,
right. And I mean, this is where I can kind of laugh at with like rankings. But what is ranking? Ranking actually the relevance where you exist in quality of football play against everybody else, or is it whether you are lost and by how much based on where you were ranked the previous week? Because even if they ran the ball, then they win, and you say, yeah, they don't drop. Maybe sometimes they will drop by one, but if you barely beat Georgia Tech at home, you probably aren't the 17th best team, or Georgia Tech is actually like the 20th best team. And again, that is just one game, but so you fumbled the ball. Well, now you're the 25th best team. Yeah, so now it's no more than half second because your defense absolutely blew it too. Really, an 8-point drop. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
It's utterly befuddling. Just utterly
the two things out as far as elite teams came out is Georgia and Michigan both showed up.
They did.
And they both did really.
Yeah. Other than that, nothing really, I guess, stood out to me. Syracuse or North Carolina beating Syracuse was impressive. Again, I think I had Louisville over Notre Dame. I guess maybe USC going to overtime again. Yeah, I guess maybe that stands out as at some point, man. I know Caleb Williams is Superman or claims to be, but at some point it's going to cost you. At some point, some receiver is going to trip, and he's going to throw a pick, and that's going to be the difference in a game because you're going to let the other team score 40 points.
Well, yeah, I mean, even his last, I wasn't last second, but that last touchdown he got, or I guess it would have been a two-point conversion. It was a ridiculous score. He's dodging and weaving it. It was as if, like, look, it's me versus 11, and I got it from here, and even reaches with the outside hand to cross the pylon, which was questionable. and then the defense actually stops somebody. But it's like that. It's like, well, he might not have actually gotten that done, and Arizona could have scored and lose to Arizona.
He didn't play that well. 14 for 25, 219. Well, I mean, he ran for 3 TDs, but he only ran 12 times for 41 yards. So,
But in the Coliseum, they weren't on the road.
yeah, but we've talked about that.
Arizona,
We've talked about
I know, but there's got to be something. It's at least the 3 points. Arizona, 3-3.
nuts. I just, man, it's a shame we're already almost halfway through the season. I feel like it's already been like a great season.
It's an interesting season because just there's
I'm
no
looking
one's
forward to
running
the
away
second
with it.
half. No one's running away with it. I still don't think. Yeah, I mean, sure, you can put Georgia and Michigan up there as the clear cut favorites,
Right.
but they still, Michigan still has Penn State. Michigan still has Ohio State. Georgia falls asleep.
Georgia has Vanderbilt, Florida, Missouri, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Georgia Tech. That's funny. The Tennessee game is the second to last of the year, and it will be in Knoxville.
Yeah, we'll find out. I mean, if anything, if any team can just turn it on, though. I mean, I think we've seen it was, it's Georgia, but
unless Florida plays one of those ridiculously out of character games, that game is in the swamp. They will get up. No, wait, they always play neutral, don't they?
It's the one of 3. It's in Jacksonville, the cocktail party.
So, I mean, anything could happen. You wouldn't expect that to happen. I say Florida's going to have the most talent on the team out of anybody. Ole Miss does go to Athens, but all you'd really say there, if anything there, you'd say, wow, the West is overly dominant compared to the East, and we wouldn't have known it that matter. I don't expect that to be the case.
No, me neither. Me neither. I think, I think so too. But it's flying by, man. It's flying by.
Very interesting. I guess we'll talk about some of the games. Friday, Thursday.
Yeah. Thursday, Friday. We'll do a preview. I agree. And
who does Texas play next week?
We got bye. We got bye, which is, I'd probably rather play some kind of like, terrible team this week, just kind of get the taste out of my mouth and then have a bye.
Yeah.
But I think there's about 5 starters right now who are hurt or not 100%, that we need to get healthy. So it's actually probably coming at a pretty good time.
Yeah, I mean, I wish we had the bye or was playing somebody not Tennessee on the road.
Not Tennessee.
I mean, that's going to be – I assume that's actually going to be the more challenging of the road games.
Is that a night game?
No, 2:30.
Ooh, CBS game. Again. So, but they'll be liquored up. They'll be rowdy.
They'll be rowdy.
They'll be rowdy.
But maybe they might not be throwing Lester bottles on the field or golf balls.
No, I think they got a little more class than that.
No, that's who it was. I thought it was that was throwing it at Ole Miss.
I thought it was Ole Miss throwing it.
No, because Lane.
No, you're right. You're right. It was. Thank you. No, you're right.
Yeah, you're giving Rocky Top a little bit too much credit there.
It's funny they're still bitter after all these years about him leaving in the night.
Hold the grudge. They wouldn't have if they had any successful seasons afterward. But they had to go through the Derek Dooley and the Butch Jones era.
They went through some pain.
And Jeremy Pruitt. I mean, really. Tennessee was. They were groomed. They were the entitled school that just got dropped in the trash very quickly.
Well, as a Texas fan who's been through his fair share of head coaches miss hires over the last couple of years, like I can empathize with Tennessee. But yeah, I mean they've gone through some pain when it comes to
Tennessee got way worse than Texas ever got, I think.
Yes, I think that's a fair assessment.
I mean,
I think there's reasons for that are not necessarily in Tennessee's control, but I would agree with that.
Yep.
Because even during the Herman years, you at least knew that every game they were going to fight, and whether it was Kansas or whether it was LSU the year they won the title game, they were always in every game. But that's the thing; they were always in every game, regardless of who they played. Tennessee, I think, would just get blown out by teams they had no business losing to.
No, and they had to continue to face a number of rivals. I mean, just getting destroyed by Alabama every single year, and Florida and Georgia. I mean, they were losing to Kentucky. They were losing to Vanderbilt.
They did. I was going to say. I thought they lost to them at least once.
Was Derek Mason brought? No, it wasn't Derek Mason. He was the follow-up, but Franklin.
Franklin, yeah, it was Franklin and Derek Mason. It's funny, Franklin, yeah, when he got
Penn State's coach. I mean, he had that a couple of years, but they were handling Tennessee no problem. James Franklin. Almost went to Austin. That was the talk.
Gosh, I'm glad he didn't. I was remembering the other day we were talking about Sark when Matt Campbell is serious considering for it. Thank God.
Right. Speaking of, did you see Iowa State's? I mean, did you see their uniforms, the pants, like flesh colored tights?
They're terrible. Like
they really just looked like a bunch of players running around with just t-shirts on.
It was bad. It was bad. Like, and the funny thing about, like, I get you when it seems like, well, that's probably a different conversation for a different day. But the whole story around that, Iowa State just gets beaten to death, in my opinion. But good for Iowa State. You're no longer the cellar dwellers. That's TCU. So good for y'all.
That's true.
Keep Matt Campbell around. See where it gets you.
I doubt they will.
5-star culture.
That's all that counts.
That's all that counts.
Core values.
Yeah, but
all right, man.
I want to apologize to all the listeners out there for our low energy today. I'm sure y'all can all appreciate.
All listeners are like, yeah, me too. Yeah, I don't know.
We'll try to bring it
Monday
next time.
To me.
Very much so. Very much so.
Yeah,
we'll bring the heat next time.
Where are you sitting right now?
I am at that's another reason. I'm at Country Club. The Country Club.
You publicly confessed conspiracy theory about the refs handing OU the game.
What? I haven't heard this conspiracy theory.
That's what you said at the very beginning, that no penalties for OU.
Well, let me pull it up just so I'm not so I know.
No, that's fine. I was like, usually when I go on those types of rants of like, let me tell you why we lost and it's not our fault, but it's the confines of my own house, not publicly.
Okay.
Even though this is now on YouTube.
Here we go. Okay. So holding calls on opponent, pass interference calls on opponent. So far this year, Rice 0-0. Bama 1 holding call, 2 pass interference calls. Wyoming 0 holding calls, 0 pass interference. Baylor 1-1. Kansas 1 holding call, 0 pass interference calls. Oklahoma 0-0. Not saying anything, just spitting facts.
All right. Got it. I don't know.
We'll leave it there. All right,
and we'll get back to prepping for some games. talking some odds here in a
We'll
few
bring the
days.
heat. We'll bring the energy back, guys.
All
Promise.
right. Yeah, we'll rebound. All the wounds will heal.
Time heals all.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
All right. See ya.
Most cases. Later.